Clash, potentially BlizzCon without CE as one of the Chinese representatives. But you know what? If they continue playing like this, and if KT continues to show up like that, maybe even Team Nut, who knows? I'm more than willing to see one of the fresh teams, one of the new teams, try to have a go at these international tournaments.
Possibly. It'll be interesting to see. For now, though, we await to see if CE can bring it back for game number 2. If they do, all they will actually achieve is becoming tied with Beyond the Game and KT, both of which, just Beyond the Game. Beyond the Game still, however, having a game to play, so that's going to be rough for CE. Whereas if TheOne win another game, they will move into a tied first place with the Super Perfect team.
Which is definitely the ultimate goal for them. But then, of course, we can't forget about this, guys. KT is yet to play. So if they were able to maybe get another 2-0 under their belt, maybe if Timeless can do it one more time and carry his team to victory, then they're going to have a really good time at the pole position again.
They will. But for now, we await to see what the next map will be. I completely forgot what the map bans were. I don't know if you remember.
I think Braxis was one of them. I don't remember the other one.
Let's find out. It was...
Oh, Braxis wasn't even banned.
Yeah, it was Towers and Dragon, and TheOne are taking CE to the Sky Temple, a pretty TheOne favored map.
Here's, by the way, how it works in China, guys. So, since we're going to have a double round-robin system, which means every team is going to face each other twice, that means that the bans, map bans, from the first encounter are going to persist for the second rematch. So, that means we're going to have a total of 4 bans in total, which means more maps are being played after all.
That is, in fact, the case. A CE banning away the Genji here. TheOne, they do not have first pick, so banning out Abathur if they're afraid of Global, banning out Tracer if they're afraid of a Luful, because with Genji already gone, they're starting to limit his hero pool if they do that.
I agree. That might be one of those issues for Luful here. While I don't want to say that his Junkrat was bad by any means, I think his grenades were absolutely on point. The Riptire left a little to be desired, and I also think that when he plays heroes like Junkrat, I don't think he can make a big difference, you know? I don't think he's as flashy as on heroes like Tracer or Genji, where he single-handedly won CE games in the past. On the flip side, though, if Zhuyu is currently going for those high-impact carries like Hanzo, I'm not sure if it has the impact either, because he played way too recklessly.
We see the Malfurion locked in immediately by CE the second that Tracer was banned out. So quick, in fact, that he had time to scroll through skins to make it extra fast.
Alright, what we're going to see here for TheOne. I can't wait to find out if they're going to go for a more standard in-meta approach, which I think last team composition, by the way, was perfectly in-meta. And it's very impressive to see that TheOne have adjusted, and they can now execute these combos with heroes like Johanna, with heroes like the Jaina in there as well. Although I'm still a little skeptical towards the Jaina, and I still think Korean teams especially could punish this heavy focus on Jaina quite a bit. It's cool to see that TheOne have deviated and shifted away from this hyper-aggressive playstyle in your face every single time into a more patient and more straightforward approach.
But with the Hanzo already being picked up right away, Deckard Kane also being brought in, so they clearly want some kind of standard style immediately. Quite surprised teams didn't prioritize globals in the first rotation, actually. Now we are seeing it from CE with the Dahaka coming in for KTY.
Dahaka already going for the SPT route, if you will. Let's see if KTY can pull off a soap and be as equally as impactful. And you know what? I also like the fact that they're finally starting to remove wind from the Garrosh. I never thought I would say this, but what worked in Phase 1 doesn't necessarily also have to work in Phase 2. And I think right now, Garrosh has been countered many times by all the China teams. And the fact that they're trying to, you know, shy away, give the Muradin back to wind is definitely a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Very much agreed. So the Muradin coming out here. No damage dealers for CE yet, which means TheOne could ban something out here if they had anything in mind. Phoenix is available. It's not the best Phoenix composition CE running, but it's just a solid assassin at this point. If not, then going for the Jaina, someone to follow up on that Muradin burst.
And I think I like what TheOne are trying to do here. They're trying to basically put a little bit of a support choke, damage choke onto the enemy team. They ban away the Jaina. They picked the Hanzo already. They could even go for the Phoenix right now. And what would that leave for CE in terms of in-meta ranged assassins, right? Not a whole bunch. Maybe a Greymane? Tychus, maybe? But CE doesn't really play a lot of those heroes. Junkrat for sure could be in factor.
The Junkrat could be good. This is a map with a boss on it as well, so I do quite like Junkrat on this map, just due to boss control with Concussion Mine. So would not mind seeing that at all. But TheOne, they need some solo laner of their own. With Blaze still available, he would be the normal go-to, but there's still Sonya, Malthael. If you want to get some percentage damage done, Malthael is what it's going to be. So going to try and just straight up lane against Dahaka and win that lane, as opposed to bringing the protection to the team fight.
Yeah. And you know, with the Genji band already, you can always go for those aggressive solo laners that, you know, when you play Malthael, or another example for this kind of playstyle would sometimes be the Alrek or the Thrall. Like when you know that you're going to win a lane against a respective opponent in your solo lane, then oftentimes these heroes like to play a little more aggressive, right? So if you have a Genji, hypermobile ganker, you can oftentimes punish this reckless behavior early on. Same goes for Zagara, by the way. It's the classic case of Brax's top. You know, you have Zagara, and she pushes you in like crazy. Boom, there comes the Genji with a gank, and you punish her for this. But if Genji is being eliminated, you can actually just play aggressively to your heart's content without fearing, you know, the repercussions too much.
So the Greymane and the Phoenix, pretty decent damage output follow-up, but it's a very standard comp by CE, just relying around solid play. I just want to dart back to this Malthael here for a second, due to the fact that the more I think about it, the better I like the pick, because Malfurion's on the board, no burst protection. The Haka was picked up very early, which means no Blaze, no last rights protection. They have picked up Malthael, and there's very little count for it outside of maybe Avatar and of course a Luthor if he gets a really well-timed teleport. And with that double auto-attack damage, we're seeing TheOne finishing up with the Cassia. I think TheOne have played around the draft of CE very well.
You know, I look at these drafts, and all I've got is two words. Hard countered on almost every single aspect for TheOne. I think they played, like you said, the Malthael, so good against Muradin. It's probably the greatest counter we have in terms of percentage damage. Muradin drops below 50%. Boom, you drop the last rights on him, and as you said, Malfurion doesn't have a panic button, he doesn't have a Crystal Aegis, no Divine Shield, nothing along those lines. And that Muradin is going to be a goner, and then you add Cassia on top of it. Look at that, Greymane, Phoenix. That's about all they have, right? True, a bit of ability damage, but most of those damage types rely onto physical attacks. So I think TheOne, if they play it smart, and also then you have the blind synergy, right, between Johanna and Cassia, they've got it on lockdown.
My only concern right now for the side of TheOne is the fact that Deckard himself and Malthael and Hanzo are a little bit vulnerable, even Cassia to the CC. So with the amount of crowd control that's on the side of CE, with a nice amount of burst from Phoenix and even Dahaka a little bit, and the Greymane, there's a decent chance that if CE are able to get some good, for example, Chinese bush meta ganks, for example, they could maybe get a fair amount of early game kills. They also have some pretty decent rotations. So it's definitely possible for CE to win. They just have to maybe get an early advantage or choose the engagements. If it's a straight up 1v1, 5v5 team fight, with everyone just running into each other and no flanks of any kind, this should in theory be a TheOne victory, but CE has an entire map to play with.
I fully agree with you, Tetcher. Let's see how this second game of the series is going to pan out here. TheOne already leading 1-0 over their opponents, over their rival CE. Can they do it again? We're going straight to Sky Temple, and we're going to introduce those teams once more for you. On the left-hand side, in the blues, we've got Hugo for Team TheOne on that Malthael. Muggle is playing Cassia, Meng on that Hanzo, Hihi on that Johanna, and ZJZ, last but not least, on Deckard.
And on the right, it is CE, Valufal on Phoenix, Wind on Muradin, 365 on Malfurion, KTY on Dahaka, and Zuyu, back on an old classic, it's the Greymane.
It is the Greymane. A touch of 2017 there when Greymane was all the hotness and teams would basically ban it out, first pick it all the time if possible. Not just in China, by the way. Greymane used to be a global phenomenon. But now with several balance updates and nerfs to his kit, especially the cocktails, he's no longer the same wolf, the same man he used to be.
The same bartender as he used to be. Nowadays, he's more of a wolf than a bartender now, as we do see him backing
like
up, doing a little bit of counter damage.
He's more like a pet, you know, just open for inspection, like in a zoo.
Yeah, but he is out to play today. See what he can do about some of these backliners. So much CC is going to have to be used. Wind already beginning to, as much as possible and as quickly as possible, this is very wise, stack up his Stormbolt. This is important due to the fact that Johanna's going to be in the front line a lot, and as I said during the draft, every backline hero and Malthael on the side of the one is vulnerable to crowd control, with Cassie especially being vulnerable because she loses her physical armor when standing still. So being able to get that stacked up as quick as possible, to be able to get that double stun, is a huge deal for Wind.
Absolutely true. So Wind continues to be cheeky and annoying, and I think he can afford to do so because guess what? There's not a whole lot of CC available for the one, with the exception of Johanna. That normally shouldn't be enough to stop one Muradin. And you know, the time he bought with just his mere body presence, it already allowed the Siege Giants of CE to march in a little closer, deal a tiny bit of damage onto the blue structures here in the bottom lane. But now, of course, on the flip side, that means the one Siege Giants are going to be the ones in charge. KTY, okay, that didn't really connect. That tongue never happened.
Not this time, but for now, we see the one continuing to put the pressure onto the bottom lane with their own Siege Giants. As you said, CE is getting shut down. In the meantime, Hanzo is actually struggling in the top lane. He traded health-wise very well against Phoenix, but not enough. As we see the lanes continue to push up back and forth for both teams. Mid lane left unattended for the moment as Malthael went for the Bruiser camp for his own team. Yeah. Phoenix looking to maybe respond in kind. Sorry, not Phoenix, Greymane.
It's kind of cool to see these rotations, by the way, from both teams. So the Haka, KTY, was actually chilling in the bottom lane quite a bit. That is for one very simple reason, because he can't lane against Malthael. So what he did instead was sending a Lufel on the Phoenix against that Malthael in top lane, because he can. Superior range heroes are the best counter to any Malthael. And as such, Malthael is basically on mercenary duty now, whereas Meng on the Hanzo is trying to hold his own against the Phoenix because of his long range on those arrows as well. So you can see how one change into this solo laning setup caused the entire rotation, the entire formation of both teams to be completely different than normal.
Meng gets a little chunked, but he's fine at the moment. Lufel making the most of that phase bomb range to try and poke down anyone here. Shots already initially being taken by Zhuyu here due to that lane being pushed up by CE. He may have to use his disengage here, and in fact does, to back up and not get himself caught out.
Alright, here we go. The middle temple is still in hold for CE. Basically spreading temples, sharing temples. And now we have the classic setup here. The one that we were supposed to get right from the get-go. Malthael against Dahaka, but already Malthael says no. Phoenix actually catches him out in the open, but doesn't commit to it. And in terms of raw experience, CE maintains a little bit of a lead, but not really a significant one.
But this counter push coming from the one will rectify that in pretty short order, especially if they can get this for income seed to try and prevent it. Stormbolt does not land here as Meng positions himself for maximum damage output. Nice use of the walls to jump over and put himself in the back in a nice position. Wind still wrapping around the side, looking for Muggle here with the slow. Good Stormbolt, good Dragon. They're able to take out Muggle.
Muggle so close there. The potion almost made it through to keep him alive for a little bit longer. And this is the CE that is taking the initiative over, that is trying to lock people down. Look at the roots by 365 onto ZJC. The potions are good though. The shields are giving him some extra tankiness, but even that is not enough. And it's a clean quad kill for CE. Tetcher, the boys are back in town.
Even grabbing Hanzo in that above area, and yes, he in much better control here. Wind just tanking this fort here, giving his team a chance to start the race in time for his minions to arrive. This will guarantee them the first fort of the game, even with Hugo arriving here. They should, actually, this is going to be close. Yeah, they have to back up.
Okay. Yeah, good defense by the one, actually. Low death timers, short death timers for the win here, pre-level 10, of course. But already I think it's safe to say that two factors are working out much better this time for CE. And I think that is the Muradin and that is the Dehaka. Way more early game pressure with the global. Compare that to Leoric, who basically can't do anything other than, you know, dropping a slow every now and then. But not really much before the level 10 kicks in. Whereas the Haka is basically a menace, or can be a menace, all game long. Muradin also way more mobile, way more flexible than the Garrosh. Can help his allies in need if they require assistance, but can also make those plays happen.
So we see Wind mounting up, getting ready to continue his rotation as the objective is spawning in the bot lane. KTY trying to push this up, trying to keep the pressure to either keep Malthael up here or to take the fort. Both are appealing. Level 10 available. CE makes the most of their advantage even more. They're probably going to get this top fort, and they're probably going to get this boss.
I think that they will do. You know, level 10 is here. Their opponents are nowhere near to actually get their own heroic abilities. Deckard is trying to poke a little bit. He is just trying to posture up a little bit. It's a 4 versus 4 Tetcher.
CE have their heroics. Wind has to leap forwards. Here comes KTY with the silence onto Deckard Cain, and this is going to allow them to fight over this.
Still standing though.
Salvo getting so many members with Malfurion already down. The salvo is good, and where are the health bars of CE? As the one just walked forward. There's the sleep. There's the kill.
Oh my goodness!
The boss is stolen by the one with a full 5-man team wipe.
Tetcher, and there goes the level lead. Everything that CE had worked so hard for in this game.
Lead.
It's all in shatters and ruins.
Yes, please show us that again. Isolation's beautiful. The health bars are already low from the boss. Condemn into multi-man damage output from the scatter arrow and all of the Cassia abilities. She did explode, Cassia, but her damage output before she did was fantastic. And that, by the way, was, I believe, without Malthael. He was still top.
That was a 4 versus 5, 9 versus 10, my friend. That's exactly how you do it. I mean, the boss was basically the 5th team member for the one, right? First of all, the boss refused to die. That was the mistake by CE, though. Wind in particular on that Muradin, he jumped in when the boss wasn't even defeated. That meant he was completely isolated. Are they going to get that kill on Hee?
Apparently not. What? What is happening? But yeah, Wind had to jump forward. The boss stun was coming out. The boss was low. It would have taken a single javelin from Cassia to kill it. And with Wind stunned, he wouldn't have been able to move onto the point and would have had to maybe rely on Phoenix with a teleport, which would have put him in a dangerous position. Yep. Give Johanna time to set up the offensive and advantageous position. So,
but his team didn't finish the boss then.
No, yes, that was weird.
But
I guess once again, it's down to the boss stun coming out. They had to reposition.
So weird. And it really goes to show, like, I thought they hit this boss 100%. I was actually fine with the call, you know, when you have such a big lead in experience, the enemy team is nowhere near getting 10, and they're not even a 5 because Malthael was chilling in the top lane, then it's normally a safe call. But if you make it so complicated, if you ignore the boss just by brawling with the enemy team, then it gets a little harder than it needed to be. And look at how the tides have turned. It is now a 13.5 to 12 lead for the one. The boss did so much work. They were able to open up the map elsewhere as a result. And the Tormented Souls now, one of Hugo's specials, is now available.
Yeah, no last rights, even though I think I would like it against this team comp, especially seeing as Tormented Souls requires you to get stuck in onto Malfurion, which means you could get Twilight Dreamed and suddenly you have no sustain. So, not sure how I feel about Tormented Souls here. There's some very tanky heroes, so I can accept it though, and also getting out that Death Touch could be really good, and Muradin with the anti-healing, like we just said, is going to be taken out.
The minus 100 anti-healing there. I'm not sure if you guys saw it. That was just absolutely crazy. Touch of Death on the Malthael and the Emerald Cube on Deckard.
That's a really nice purification salvo, but everyone else in trouble. Greymane rolls in looking for an execution, does not get it, and now Lufel left alone.
Yeah, he was left alone, and Dehaka couldn't even join the battle because he was busy soaking the level 13. If only that had gone a couple of seconds quicker, then maybe CE would have been able to retaliate and strike back. But as it is, yet another crushing blow against them, and a mighty victory for the one. Can they maintain this momentum? Right now, 1, 2 temples are going to be activated. They're active right now, and still 2 members dead for CE. I'm not sure how long Wind can actually hold this.
He's going to try and hold it as long as he can while he waits for his team to appear near him. He's actually going to get even a couple shots out of this. This will take down mid. And then that should... Oh, no, denied right before it takes down mid. I believe it goes, like, from top to bottom, so it should go to bot next, right? Or would it go to top next?
It always goes top next, so it's middle, top,
right,
and then
they're going
bottom.
to get 2 falls out of this.
Yeah, very good, actually. And you know, what's also crazy about this is the fact that the One played this so perfectly in terms of map pressure, right? There were mercenaries in the top lane, mercenaries in the bottom lane, so no matter what CE does here, if they fight for one temple, they're going to take so much damage. That's a good tongue, though!
The Dragon Arrow comes in for the counter. In comes Smuggle from the side. ZJZ also trying to protect it. Good isolation to prevent the sleep as ZJZ takes huge damage from the ball. Takes huge damage. They turn around. The salvo is great, but the health bars once again deleted. Hugo with the Tormented Soul shreds through Muradin.
Wow. That is...
and also Meng's killing everyone.
Yeah, Meng is just cleaning up casually in the backline. You know, that's what Meng does these days. And that's the crippling factor when you don't have a slow in your team, you know? That was a perfect salvo, hitting 4 or 5 members at the same time, but nobody was slowed. Otherwise, that could have been a double, maybe even a triple kill. I mean, look at those health bars once again on the side of the One. If there is just one slow, Alufal gets the triple kill.
Yeah, Muradin was seconds away from getting his Thunderclap, which would have been the slow needed. Slight miscommunication, slight mistiming is all it takes. And in the meantime, Hanzo just cleans up the rest of the damage dealers in the backline. Greymane gets taken down. And there were some really good plays there. Dahaka, perfect silence to interrupt the Stay One and Listen. Otherwise, that would have been an absolute massacre, but it's still not enough.
Exactly. It's just that little bit of damage that is missing once again for CE to finally make those kills happen. Now, the middle keep has already fallen. The bottom temple still has a couple of shots available, but I think the One, they're smelling something. They realize that CE is desperate. They're at the brink of defeat, so the only way for them to lose this game, the one that is to actually have a really bad team fight. All of their heroic abilities are ready yet. If they wanted to fight with a talent advantage, I think would actually be a good time to do so right now.
Have we actually seen a Twilight Dream yet?
Not an impactful one that I can think of.
Yeah, so Mafurian's been having trouble. He's been getting interrupted and stuff. Wind, very preemptive Stormbolt to make sure that he can back up as this boss is being attempted. They're not going to try and fight with a talented boss. They're going to try and grab a boss. And they, guess what, have Hanzo, so they can absolutely do this.
So much damage on that boss. Hanzo, by the way, combined with Cassia's damage, and the Malthael is just shredding PvE targets like there was no tomorrow. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a last hold for CE. They're going to have to fight outside of their base. If they let that boss go through all the way to the core, it's game over alongside the team members of the One, of course. So they need to force something here, but the One, they're so aware of this. Look at the zoning by Decker Kane. Look at the preemptive dismounting. Beautiful.
Moving in, Twilight Dream hitting two members to sleep, grabs all of the backliners, leaving Dahaka and Wind completely alone. In comes the Salvos. Tormented Souls goes into the backline. They try to turn onto Malthael as KTY is being a great distraction, but Malthael tanking through it. KTY will die alone here, but they've managed to kill Hanzo, making it a 1-for-1. The keep goes down, the core will live. If he gets out of this, I will be very shook. How long until Burrow? If he has Burrow, he could maybe escape.
There's no CC available. They can't interrupt it, but I don't think he has it ready. And the pursuers were too fast anyways. Even Malthael, man, on the Pale Horse gets you so much more movement speed while mounted. There was no way for Dahaka to make it out alive. But a good fight. You know, they stopped the bleeding. They're still miles behind. They still have basically amputated limbs, but they stopped the bleeding at least. Let's see if they can actually come back on one leg.
Well, CE, they're looking to. They're moving in. They don't have Dahaka. Hanzo is still dead as well, so they're trying to make something happen while it's even numbers. Looking for Cassia. In straight into the backline goes Win. Lands the stun to Malthael, but Johanna being too good with the zoning, and CE, with Hanzo back, they decide to back it up, and they're going to have to go back to their base and clean out mid and bot.
All right, the One, all they need to do is be patient once more. Get that level 20.
Oh, no,
There's several ways for them to win this game, Tetra, right? Either they get the temple by wiping the enemy team, or they could even threaten the backdoor.
CE, though, they are going to be able to stay out here a little bit longer, put some pressure on. They don't have 20, so they don't want to fight. They just want to try and distract the One to buy time for their 20, because, oh dear, Dragon Arrow play of the game. It is a stay a while and listen, and see you're lethal. Wow,
Meng is showing Zuyu how you play that Hanzo. Beautiful. They get a retaliation kill, though. At least Zuyu with that revenge blow on the Greymane. But guess what? Malthael's back. Level 20 is good, yo.
Oh yeah, that's not ideal. Not ideal at all. So Dahaka has basically been stuck in base right now, defending, cleaning up both bot and mid, trying to buy his team 20.
Yeah.
And that was the idea of CE, trying to buy themselves some time, but the Dragon Arrow said nope, and shut down any chance they had of this defense, as now the temple is already firing shots. There's catapults already attacking the core. Dahaka is on the cleanup duty. He's already cleared up most of them, so the core still has a shield, but in comes the temple. Yeah. In comes the spell armor protected CE, the one member, sorry, and this is looking like it's going to be the 2-0.
The temple alone is going to be enough at this point in time to finish the game. The one, they do it. They take down the Chinese champion CE in a clean 2-0. And, not sure what is going on. CE at this point is not going to make it to the Eastern Clash.
Not at this rate. They can still bring it back, but right now they are really beginning to struggle. They now sit still on a solid 4 points. They have literally half the amount of points that the One and SPT now do.
In what world do we live in which CE becomes a mid-tier team? Maybe even struggling for the relegation.
That would be... I think that's going a little bit far, but they still have a lot. They still have a lot of skills, just reevaluating and adapting. But for now, the one though, showing that they are still coming out growing. They're still coming out strong.
And I'm not sure if you saw the reactions there. We only saw them for a second or so. But 365 looked very shaken. He looked very shocked by that clean 2-0 defeat. It's not like, the one cheesed their way to victory, or it was an unlucky throw like in the first game, with Chicken on the Li Ming getting the zappers into the core range. But it was just them getting outclassed on multiple fronts, from draft to execution and to late game domination.
That is, in fact, the case. CE, though, they still have another series today, so they can try and recover some points here.
Who's going to be the next opponent?
The A-team.
A-team.
Yes, so if there was ever a re-confidence builder, I would hope it would be that.
A-team is going to have to be the punching bag,
Unfortunately so. CE's like, you know what? We're a little stressed. We need to go work out in the A-team gym. Play some versus AI games. Oh, that's actually a bit harsh. That's mean.
Yeah.
The A-team had some signs of life earlier on, able to. I mean, they have points. They took 2-0 versus RPG, so who knows?
Yeah, you can never count out CE, but they're definitely going to have to show us a strong performance against the A-team, who are currently, looking a little bit better than they did at the beginning of the day. But it's still safe to say that CE, if they don't win this next game against the A-team convincingly, 2-0, easy peasy lemon squeezy, then I think they're going to be in for a bumpy ride. Speaking of bumpy rides, the numbers underline that this was exactly one for CE. 15 kills for the one over the 8 here. 21-18, a classic Sky Temple snowball.
Yep, the one in full control, able to take everything. 6 kills, 6 structures to 2, and that was pretty much just a keep, I believe. So, yeah, really nicely done by the one. They are in full control. And that is only our 3rd series of the day. We still have 3 more to bring you, ladies and gentlemen.
MVP here, Tetcher? Meng again?
Yep, apparently. The Dragon Arrow was basically what set them up for the victory, so I'm very happy to give it to him.
I think it's safe to say that Meng, up to this point, there's a lot of good players in the league, right? There's a lot of talented assassin players in particular in China. But what separates Meng from all the other players, with maybe the exception of Lucky at this point, and maybe Hope, is the fact that he plays so many heroes so awesomely well.
Yes, agreed. He is. I mean, like we said before, I honestly think. Okay, so I would like to pose to you a hypothesis.
Let's go.
SPT, when they needed a new assassin after Molly didn't work out, they chose Lucky. I think they chose the one player. If they'd chosen Meng, and Meng had accepted and joined them, I think SPT would be in a better position.
Yeah, Quite honestly, I never thought about this. I'm not really sure what the reason was, why they chose Lucky, why Lucky was able to.
I mean, he's good. He fits their style, I guess.
Yeah.
But sometimes your style has to evolve.
The similarity, though, or the common point that Molly and Meng have, though, is young age. Maybe they were like, we need a more mature player. Like Molly with his 17 years, 18 years is not going to fit in there. Maybe some of our players are too intimidating. I can see Soap being, very vocal sometimes. And Molly always seemed like a very timid player. And maybe they were afraid of Meng having similar issues. And maybe Lucky just, from a human point of view, is just the better player that fits in there.
Possibly. For now, we're jumping over to No with some analysis here. And is highlighting something on game 1. This is where Meng gets engaged on. This is where he wraps around and just detonates heroes repeatedly.
Absolutely true. And we see KTY on that Leoric. He's trying to make some sort of flank happen. While I think the Dragon's Arrow is going to miss here. I think it's just going to barely pass on Hugo. But the moment Leoric shows himself, Meng says like, you're not going to get in my house here. We're going to slow you down. I'm going to keep you frozen in place. And already KTY needs to leave. By the way, the Dragon's Arrow connecting, not missing.
It did. And so did the Wind Engage. But it's actually going to be Hehe that is able to drop some CC and protect Meng. Meng's able to reposition. He actually repositions himself way down here. You can see, like you already mentioned, KTY leaving due to the blizzard. If he had stayed down there, maybe Meng could have disengaged.
Yeah, and look at the escape.
Sorry, maybe Meng couldn't have disengaged.
Yeah, look at the escape route as well, right? KTY, after level 13 and 16, with the damage reduction on his Wraith Walk, instead of maybe escaping through the team of TheOne and lowering everyone's damage, he's going the most defensive, the most scared path possible, and he's not going to play any part in the team fight for a couple of seconds, which is quite important, because look at the backline now. Zhuyu completely exposed, Alufo completely exposed, and Muggle is turning on the heat onto those guys.
It's an excellent point, and of course we can see here that ZJZ able to bring out the cleansing flame as well. Even with that Lornado, Meng is completely unaffected, and the health bar of Alufal is Zhu is about to become non-existent because of that really effective wraparound.
Yeah, that is the Mengo combo, I want to call it. Meng and Hugo, they're just exploding all over Zhuyu here, really just making him pop, and that is just the power. Look at those two. Boom. There he goes. And,
this is going to be a fun little replay here. So CE, you can see they're already dropping a little bit low, the boss, down to half health, but Wind has been tanking this for a while. Dahaka can tunnel in, but let's have a look at the AoE here. Cassia, Fend, and the Lightning Fury also still counts this. Full scatter arrow from Hanzo in a very tight enclosed space, and everyone grouped up by Johanna. And of course, the full Decade Came combo with the anti-heal to prevent Malfurion giving them any kind of sustain.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you win a team fight. 4 versus 5, because Dahaka is going to join there very quickly. 9 versus 10. This is how you do it. You basically let the enemy team take all that damage from the boss. This is your ally right now. The boss always attacks the team that triggered it. So this is your ally.
They've actually, just quickly, he actually played this wrong a little bit positioning-wise. They were so focused on trying to race the boss that they didn't do a nice little trick where basically you can pull the boss over to the enemy side, where you basically melee it, draw it over to where it is now, but in reverse. You draw it to the enemy side of the map. So if they want to invade, they have to push through a lot further. You have a much easier positioning on the enemy bush to gain vision, but that's not what we saw. Instead, CE are now zoned so far away from the capture point that it's almost impossible for them to defend it without taking a risk. You can see here, Wind having to jump very early. Everyone else has to back up. It's only Phoenix currently attacking and Zhuyu in ranged form. The damage output is not enough to kill the boss.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also KTY actually arriving with 20% of his health. That is not worth it.
Because he had a little bit of a bad matchup there quickly against Malthael before he arrived. He drops his essence though. Boss delayed going down even longer here. The blind from Johanna actually prevented it from going down for even longer, as Cassia gets her explosion, gets all the damage, and the Twilight Dream from the Malfurion is not enough as well. You can see Hanzo coming in, pinging in the damage, and it is going to be a wipe.
And at this point, Hugo on the Malthael is like, leave some for me, but No, his teammates decided that it was time to end this farce. And yeah, by the way, I also want to highlight Hehe here on that Johanna. Not only did he capture all, or did he get all the attention onto him, but he hit a 5-man blind, delaying the boss for just enough of a bit of time to basically cause CE's downfall. Hehe, man, sometimes he's having moments of brilliance and he's winning those team fights.
That he does. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, that was our third series of the day. We have 3 more left to come. The next one, we have our current, at the start of the day, no longer current first place team in the form of KT, Kudos Top. They are against Beyond the Game, who currently sit only 2 points behind them.
Stay tuned for Timeless, baby. Let's go.